Alrighty, everyone, welcome back. So, we have a prospect pool overview for y'all today. It's been a little bit since we made our Sabres one at the beginning of the season previews. However, we're about 11 previews left, and we're going to do Colorado today because, ironically, it's the first of two Avalanche videos that are going to come out today. We got the prospect pool overview and the season preview both coming out on the same day. This one will come out in the morning, and then the Avalanche one will come out later on in the afternoon. So, a nice little fun Avalanche-themed day for y'all. But regardless, the Avalanche's prospect pool is probably one of the more unexciting things to talk about because there isn't that much to it. There really isn't. Obviously, they've been a very successful team for the past 3 to 4 years. It's been a while since they've been at the bottom of the league. And, of course, with that, comes a weak prospect pool. So that's really what we're going to talk about here. But the first person I have is Oscar Olausson. And all these guys, and I think honestly a lot of them, have a really decent shot at making the NHL. Absolutely. So Oscar Olausson's a wing/center from Stockholm, Sweden. He is 6'2", 181 pounds. He was drafted 28th overall in 2021, so one of the later selections there by Colorado in the first round in 2021. Obviously, that was a time period where they were before winning their Stanley Cups. Obviously, they weren't moving draft picks. And then in 63 games this past year with the Colorado Eagles, the AHL affiliate, he had 11 goals, 9 assists for 20 points. He's listed as being a heavy and accurate shot weapon. That's his biggest weapon overall, is definitely a shot. So definitely a guy there who you could put on your wing side and, can play very well. And obviously, too, he can play both positions, both wing and center. And guys like that typically do well in the NHL and typically do have a better shot at making it because they can play more positions. They're more versatile in that role. So definitely a guy like Oscar Olausson already looking like he could play a few games this coming year for Colorado. Just maybe he needs a little bit more development before he fully gets there, which isn't a bad thing whatsoever. Next up then I have Jean-Luc Foudy, who is the brother of Liam Foudy of the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's a center from Scarborough, Canada, 5'11", 176 pounds, a later draft pick, drafted 75th overall in 2020, and actually played 9 games with the Avalanche this past season, so he's already made his step towards the NHL and has played a few games. Obviously, on a team like Colorado, you're not going to get too much ice time, so he's obviously like on the third line or the fourth line and stuff like that. So I don't believe his point totals were great, but still, it is good to get your jump over to the NHL for sure. But in 46 games played this past year with the Colorado Eagles, he had 11 goals, 25 assists for 36 points. Great numbers there for an AHL team and an AHL player for sure. And he's listed as being a speed demon. He has a lot of speed to his game. He's a great penalty killer. And guys like that, and I've seen a lot of people talk about how, do you want to either score a lot of points or do you want to do the little things in the NHL? And honestly, if you do the little things in the NHL, like kill off penalties, make hits, be versatile, protect the bigger players, then you will last longer in the NHL. And a guy like Foudy, who is good on the penalty kill, definitely a good guy to have on your roster for sure. And he could be someone who, looking down the road, could be a long-term NHLer. Maybe just a bottom six forward, but still, one of those guys that comes up clutch in a Stanley Cup winning team for sure. So, Foudy, a good guy to have there. Next up, we're talking about a guy from this year's draft. You got Callum Ritchie, argued as their best prospect right now at this point. He's a center from Brampton, Canada, 6'2", 187 pounds, so he's at the average NHL height. He won the Hlinka Gretzky Gold in 22-23. Obviously, as you can tell, a lot of these guys aren't really well known for their accomplishments trophy-wise. A lot of the guys I mentioned so far, none of them have won trophies, and that goes to show with a lot of teams like this, teams that are like Colorado and aren't as well known for their well-known prospects. Guys that are typically in those organizations have not been in international play or have won championships. But nonetheless, Callum Ritchie did win a Hlinka Gretzky Gold, so something to keep in mind. Drafted 27th overall in this past year's draft. He played 59 games played with the Oshawa Generals. He had 24 goals, 35 assists for 59 points. He's listed as having great hockey sense and can connect plays very well. So a good guy to have on your roster there for sure if you're Colorado. And yeah, this draft was very deep, so getting a guy like Ritchie in, who probably would have been a mid-teens pick if it was last year's draft, but in this year's draft, he's going late. So definitely a good pick to have there at 27th for sure. And it wasn't even their original draft pick. I believe it was Tampa's or Montreal's, if I'm correct. So regardless, that is something to keep in mind there for sure. But yeah, Callum Ritchie, one of the best players in the pool now. Next up, then you have an underrated defenseman in Sean Behrens. I hope I'm saying that right. I apologize if I'm butchering any of these names. A defenseman from Barrington, Illinois. He's 5'10", 176 pounds. He won the NCAA chip. He did win an NCAA championship in 21-22 with the University of Denver. Obviously, a very good roster. So yeah, definitely a guy who has honestly been on the rise for a while with that defense in Denver and just overall. Drafted 61st overall in 2021, and even though he's still a ways away from development, you could look at him as a steal. Right now, you could look at him as a pretty good steal there at 61st overall. In 31 games played with the University of Denver, he had 3 goals, 18 assists for 21 points. I don't expect for this guy to see the NHL this coming season. Very well could see the AHL. I haven't looked at any numbers of that and such if he's going to come over. But regardless, he has perfect posture, and he apparently never stops skating. Like, his motor never stops running is what I saw in the article. And definitely a guy who has a lot of energy in him and can definitely last longer throughout a lot of games. And guys like that typically do well in the NHL for sure. So good to have a guy there like Behrens. Next up, then, you have Mikhail Guyalev. I believe I'm saying that right. He is also drafted this past year. Defender from Novosibirsk, Russia, if I'm saying that right. Apologies there. 5'10", 172 pounds. Drafted 31st overall in 2023, as I mentioned, so one of the later picks in the draft. And he is another guy who's looked at to be a pretty solid defenseman, if we're being honest. 22 games played, 2 goals, 23 assists for 25 points with the Omsky Yastreby of the MHL in Russia, so not bad numbers there for a defenseman. He's more of an offensive-minded type defender, which obviously you got Cale Makar there in Colorado's system, so that is someone that I immediately think of when I think of offensive defensemen. But yeah, regardless, Guyalev was actually ranked as like the 3rd best defenseman in the draft, or the third to 5th. I can't remember which one it was. But regardless, one of the higher ranked defenders. It's good for Colorado to get a guy like him for sure. So I like the acquirement of Guyalev a lot. Next up, then, you have Justice Unanen as your goaltender prospect. Unanen is a goalie from Kempele, Finland. He's 6'4", 209 pounds. He won the U18 World Junior Gold in 17-18, so it was a while ago when he was drafted, in fact. 64th overall in 2018. So he is one of those guys from that 2018 draft with Samuel Urson, Devin Levi, etc. And in 41 games played this past year with the Colorado Eagles, he had a 22-10-8 record with a 2.55 goals against average and a .916 save percentage. Honestly, he's not at that point like Urson and Levi are, where, they're ready to go next season. I think Unanen has a few more years before he's becoming a legitimate backup goalie. Right now, he's the 3rd string. You got Francouz and Georgiev up there as your tandem right now. Unanen, hopefully in maybe 1 to 2 years, could be that backup player. But of course, we shall find out there if he's going to be exactly. But the hope is he will be one. But right now, he is the 3rd string. Other prospects in the pool with Colorado goes as follows. You got forward Alex Bukage, forward Nikolai Kovalenko, and goalie Ivan Zagalov. So not that deep of a prospect pool overall, but still nonetheless, pools like this that aren't very deep are actually more fun to talk about because you're getting to know more guys that you may not know as well. So yeah, that is your prospect pool review for the Colorado Avalanche. Thank you all for watching. If you're an Avalanche fan, subscribe. Tune in for a season preview later on today. It's going to be a very good day for Avalanche fans. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I believe the next pool is the Red Wings, in fact. So stay tuned for that one. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.